minutes. I'm also going to stream it on Facebook Live to get more viewers.
Oh, geez.
And then put it on YouTube at some point.
Listen to me on these things. You know, I don't like to be on camera. You can look at it for me to. Okay. You guys don't have any keys here, do you?
No.
You gotta let me set up your food studio.
Yeah. I'm a professional. You just put the thing. You're gonna running water.
Oh my gosh. Hello. Oh, then so people are gonna be looking like that.
Yeah, that's part of it. Experience. All right, 1 minute. Slap shot. It's not warm. It's not good.
You need, you also need a monitor.
I know.
You
Yeah.
know?
See what you're
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah. So I'll be showing ingredients a lot, so be ready to switch.
Okay. All right, 6 o'clock, and the people in. All right, welcome everybody to the SOMCAN Filipinos Feed the Front Lines food demo. Today we have a special guest, Deanna Sison of Mestiza. Before we get started, can everyone let us know through the chat if you can hear us okay? Give us a yes if you can hear the audio okay through the live feed. Cool, thank you, Paula. All right, text coming in, so there's gonna be a few more people coming in. Why don't we get started and be mindful of everyone's time. Deanna, you want to introduce yourself and what you're going to be cooking today?
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. My name is Deanna Sison. I am a small business owner here in San Francisco. Owned and operated 4 different restaurants. One of which is fully operating right now, and a couple that are hopefully going to reopen soon. And I was invited to do a recipe basically with a healthy version of Filipino food in mind. And when Desi asked me to do this, it kind of resonated with me because when pandemic hit, obviously, you know, our world was decimated, and I was feeling really sorry for myself. I was kind of going through a slump, super unmotivated. And I got, fortunately, I had a friend who kind of dragged me out of my sad heap and encouraged me to start training with her. So we start training and we start working out a few times a week together with our trainer who, by the way, Jamel, if you're listening in, thank you so much. But noticing that, like, you know, being physical had a real direct impact on my mental health. And from that, I started to get interested in how food and nutrition also impact impacted my mental health. And that just brought me on this journey of like experimenting with a whole bunch of different things. I was, tried keto, I tried no carb, I tried low carb, I tried vegan, I tried it all. And so it started off a very interesting journey on just being motivated again about food, but more so about nutrition. So yeah, and so today, what I was going to make is a version of tinola. So in the Philippines, chicken tinola is such a common, some would even say ordinary stew. Normally we do with chicken. In this version, I'm going to be doing it vegan. And really what it's about is this really savory, delicious gingery broth that feels so healing. It feels so comforting. Every Lola has their own version of it. I know my mom made me tinola whenever I had a bellyache or had a flu or a cough, because it really is a superfood stew of sorts. So do you want me to go ahead and get into it, or you have a...
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Deanna's getting into it. If people want to put into the chat some of their favorite memories of tinola, that would be great.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, tinola is mostly made up of 3 key ingredients. The first one being ginger. I don't know if people are familiar with ginger. So I'm gonna sing the praises of ginger a little bit later, but this is an amazing spice. It's probably the most widely used spice around the world. And then of course there's garlic, and garlic also has incredible properties and nutritious properties. And then patis, which is Filipino fish sauce, which you can get conventionally now at almost any grocery store. But today we're gonna make a vegan fish sauce, which gives
They've been exposed.
umami flavor and depth. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started.
You said you're going to make a vegan fish sauce.
Vegan fish sauce.
How are you going to imitate the fish flavor?
Well, we'll get into that, but mostly it's a little bit of miso and the kombu or seaweed, which is going to give it that combined with garlic and a couple other things. All right, so let's make sure that this is working. It's not super.
Cool.
So the first ingredient for the fish sauce, and this is really the key ingredient, dehydrated shiitakes. So hold on, sorry guys, I'm gonna let this heat up a little bit.
And does it have to be shiitake? Can it just be like, I don't know, like a button mushroom?
It can be any kind of mushroom. I think shiitakes have such a deep flavor. I find that they impart the most complex flavor of the mushrooms. They smell so good too. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and put like these caps. 1, 2, 3, 4, we eyeball it. And when I make this, I like to make a big old batch because you can bottle it and it stays for months. Like you don't even have to worry about it going bad. It really stays for a long time. You can also experiment with some of the ingredients. Like if you like it a little bit more garlicky or you want more seaweed flavor, you just, do it to your taste. But generally, I like mine extra fishy flavor, as I know like a lot of Filipinos do. They tend to favor like the vinegary fishy flavor. Okay, so we've got shiitake mushrooms. I'm going to use some gluten-free soy, which this is a good brand, or this is actually organic to mine. So we're going to add just a little, maybe about a 1/4 cup. I'm a fan of eyeballing. I don't like measuring exact. Okay, and then we're gonna add a little bit of a teaspoon or two of white miso. You can also use red miso. You can use really any kind of miso. We get 2 bowls. Add these into your small metal bowls. We'll just do them all because I'm going to need some more garlic for the broth. Okay. Put it on top, and then just give it a keep it going. It didn't work as well. Hold on, we'll give it a gift.
Oh, so that's supposed to help get this out?
Yeah, see, so now I have a nice peeled garlic.
Oh my God, never knew that trick.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Well, it gets it started anyway. So, you know, when you shake it, when you do it for a while, it'll just come off super nicely. And then, you know, you just pick through and you have like some easy peeled garlic. But of course, you can just buy it peeled now too.
Mhm.
So, all right, so we'll just add a few more cloves.
So how did you get involved in the restaurant business?
I just grew up around food like most of us, you know, like I was always in the kitchen helping my mom. She's always hosting dinner parties. I love being around food. I love the experience of sharing food. I love the experience of tasting food. So, you know, when the opportunity came, I think every foodie's dream is to eventually own a restaurant one day.
Mhm.
Naively. And and so when the opportunity came to me, I jumped at it.
And what was your first restaurant?
My first restaurant was a restaurant called Farmer Brown, and that was in the Tenderloin district of San Francisco, not too far from here, actually. And yeah, that was probably one of the hardest experiences of my life, but also the most intense and passionate and fulfilling experiences of my life. I learned a lot. That's where I like to say I got my master's degree in business. Okay, so we're gonna let this simmer. You know, you can also, again, like I was talking about experimenting, I mean, use your imagination and your taste buds. Everybody has different tastes, so you could also add a little bit of cocoa aminos in this for extra flavor, even a little bit of citrus if you want.
You said cocoa aminos?
Cocoa aminos, yeah. This is like a seasoning sauce and marinade.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is very umami, you know, has that umami flavor. Rich flavor.
What is it made from?
Coconuts. Yep. actually the coconut flour, not the coconut flowers. Aminos. Okay, so we're gonna let that kind of hang out for a little bit. Yeah, you can also, cocoa aminos that has sort of like an acidic flavor. You can also add a little bit of rice vinegar. Super hot with the sun. Rice vinegar or any other kind of vinegar for that matter.
And for those who don't know, we're streaming live right now on Mission Street, right across from the Westfield Mall. And so it's got its quirks.
Yeah, but you need like a curtain or something right here.
You'll see people walk by.
Yeah, I'm starting to get sweaty. It's really hot in here. It's very hot. Okay, so we'll let this go a little bit, but you know, when you're done with this, basically you're going to strain it off, and then you're going to have a nice little bit of. Actually, I have some right here. This one's already finished, but you can still see the stuff floating in there, and the longer it steeps, the better.
Yeah.
You can even just let it steep overnight. Take it off the heat and let it steep overnight.
Elisa is asking, is cocoa amino similar to soy sauce?
The flavor is sort of similar. Yeah. I'm gonna try it right now. It's a little bit, you see it's like a little bit more viscous too. It's a little thicker. Got kind of a sweeter flavor than soy. But you know, another layer deepens the flavor. All right, so yeah, what I was talking about with the vegan fish sauce, you can even put it into these like cool little bottles and gift it to your friends, you know, and I always love a friend that brings me anything that I can consume as a gift. I think it's a really awesome gift. So that's it. I don't think this is technical difficulties over here. No.
Let me go behind the scenes to see if
Okay.
it's plugged in. There you go.
Oh, okay, so Desi to the rescue. All right, we'll get it second. So while that's simmering, let's just start prepping the other ingredients. Okay, next main ingredient and the star of the show, in my opinion, is the ginger. So the ginger is a root, it's a rhizome, and it's in the same family as turmeric, galangal. It's just a really fascinating spice or plant, I should say. It has amazing properties. It's antibacterial, it's anti-inflammatory. It helps if you have achy joints. It aids in your digestion. There's so many just amazing and wonderful qualities about ginger. So an easy way to peel ginger is with a spoon. You guys know this trick, and you know, especially this one is this ginger is pretty flat, but you know, sometimes you can get super knobby gingers like that that are hard to like you know get a knife around. So using a spoon actually works really well. So you just kind of rub it around. Really easy way to peel ginger.
How much ginger are we going to be putting in? Just kind of like enough that size, like 2
I,
cloves?
again, like by taste, I happen to love ginger. I know there are some people that don't really care for it because it's a really strong flavor. I'd say like 2 or 3 nubs. Yeah, they're like an inch size, like a thumb size nub.
And so we know that you're one of the more prolific entrepreneurs in our community. You didn't stop with Farmer Brown. What was the next business you opened up?
So an opportunity came to us maybe 2 years after we opened Farmer Brown, and our friends who owned 330 Rich, the nightclub, some of you remember, needed somebody to come and take over their kitchen. So, you know, not being one to shy away from an opportunity, we jumped at the chance and we created a Farmer Brown called Little Skillet. So Little Skillet was established in 2008 or 2009.
Wow.
I know, it was crazy. over a decade old, but yeah, so we opened up with a really basic menu of chicken and waffles, and we're still serving chicken and waffles. Like, it just surprises me how people still love chicken and waffles. not the healthiest of dishes, but you know, in like 10 years or 15 years with Farmer Brown, I've eaten a lot of fried chicken.
Paula, sorry, wants to know what's the best way to store fresh ginger? Refrigerator or freezer?
I have never stored ginger in a freezer because I just love the flavor of fresh ginger. But it's a good question. And you know, when I get ginger, and you usually get it by the pound, you get a whole bunch. I go ahead and just peel a whole bunch, and then I'll throw it in a jar and keep it in the fridge. And because I use ginger for a lot of things. I'll take ginger in the morning and put it in a blender with some water and a couple squeezes of lemon. I whir it up and then strain it, and then just put it in a big bottle, and you can just drink it like a tonic, you know, for the whole day. It's really good. It's really good for you. If you're trying to cut down on your caffeine, it also gives you a little bit of a charge. One other healing benefit of ginger that somebody recently told me is that it improves memory. So as we're all like overloaded with a million things to do and coordinate and handle, you know, why not just always have a jar of ginger water, nicely cooled in your refrigerator just to drink. So it's always going to have a good benefit for you. Did I answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Finally, this is kind of simmering.
So pop quiz for everybody out there watching. What is the Tagalog name for ginger tea? What is the Tagalog name for ginger tea? No tech knows. While we're waiting for the answers to roll through, so you got up. Salabat. Thank you, Paula.
What is it?
Salabat.
Salabat. Yeah.
So you didn't stop with little skillet. What was next?
Oh yeah. Okay. So then what happened after Little Skillet?
Yeah.
Then the guys at 330 Rich, the nightclub, they started to wind down, and so that place, the next door space, became available. So my partner and I decided to take over the bar space, and so we created a bar and event space called Victory Hall. So that still exists right now. It's closed down because, you know, we're just coming out of pandemic. So, but we look forward to opening that back up really soon. Yeah. Okay.
Please tell me it is.
Smelling a little funny. No, it's not. I think it's like the. Just turn this off. So we get the idea. So, you know, our vegan fish sauce is going to come to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer probably for about another 20 minutes until it reduces somewhat. And then you're going to take it off the heat. You're going to let it steep overnight if you like. You can add any kind of ingredient from the allium family, which is garlic, scallions, green onions, red onion. Feel free to add those things in there just to deepen the flavor and just to mix it up a little bit. Okay. So then we'll move on to our broth.
So someone asked, how do I get the recipe? If you go back to the website, Filipinos Feed the Front Lines, you will see the ingredient list.
Oh yeah, I didn't share the exact recipe, but I can.
Okay.
So we'll share that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to my ginger. Yeah, what else good things can I say about ginger? Ginger lowers cholesterol. It's been known to help and aid in weight loss. Like so many good things. Eat ginger. I love ginger.
What other kinds of food do you like to cook with ginger other than tinola?
Who, me?
Yep.
Oh, just chicken and ginger. That my kids love that. I put ginger in my adobo. I drink that ginger water almost daily. I love ginger. I like ginger in my cocktails. I love a good dark and stormy. Yeah. How about you? What's your favorite ginger dish?
What do I put in ginger? I put ginger in a lot of things. I put it in my stir fries a lot.
Yeah, stir fries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ginger rice. Also good. I like garlic rice. Sun is heating down.
You're on the hot seat.
It's hot. It's hot, Desi. Need a shade. Need a fan. Oh. That-
Okay, so after you started Victory Hall, you didn't stop there, right?
Correct. Yeah. I don't know what possessed me. It was again another opportunity. A friend came to me and was like, "Hey, man, I got a space for you. If you want to take it over and do something with it." And again, I couldn't resist. It was a good deal. It was a great location. It had a great patio. So I thought I'd do something that resonated with me personally a little bit more, while also paying ode to the business that was there before, which was a taqueria. Coincidentally, the owner's name was also Deanna,
Wow.
and she had been there, I think, for like 20 or 30 years, like a really long time. So that's how Mestiza was born, Mestiza Taqueria. So it became like a journey into exploring the culinary ties between the Philippines and Mexico. And since, you know, we were both colonized by the same people, there was the Manila, Mexico galleon for 200 years. It was a major trade route. We've shared a lot of ingredients and cooking techniques and recipes. So there's actually a lot of influence in both of those cuisines and ingredients that we use. So, yeah, so Mestiza was the last project.
And one of the great things about Mestiza is that it also made the Chronicle's top 100 restaurants before the pandemic.
Yeah, thank you for that acknowledgement. We miss Mestiza.
Are there other ways people can enjoy the food from Mestiza?
Well, I mean, we're still thinking about, you know, unfortunately, we don't have a long-term lease there anymore. So we're trying to still figure out, like, if we move it, if we just do catering, if we, you know, there's all kinds of ideas, you know, it's being figured out, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I love the brand. I love the food. And yeah, I didn't mention this, but, you know, in my sort of exploration of healthier cooking during pandemic, one of my goals was to make Mestiza fully plant-based. So upon reopening, you know, I think that is the direction that we'll probably go. So I'm rooting for Mestiza. Just don't know how it's gonna materialize, but you know, we'll get there. I think that's enough ginger. What do you think?
Yeah, I can smell it here.
Yeah. Smells awesome. Put this in here, and then I'll crush some garlic.
Okay? Yeah.
What other questions you got?
What's the future of the restaurant industry? We went through a seismic.
Is that somebody's question or is that your question?
That's my question. I want to know from the master.
What's the master? I'm still learning. I learn every single day. What's the future? I think definitely without a doubt, like there's going to be more collaborations in spaces. I think the idea of just having a single subject kind of restaurant is going to fall by the wayside. I think people coming back into the restaurant industry want to do it a little bit better, more equitable between back of house, front of house employees as far as wages, you know, as far as management, having better work-life balance. You know, there's all kinds of movement in the restaurant industry. But you know, restaurants will never go away because I mean, that's the spice of life. Everybody's got to eat, and we all enjoy sharing it with each other and having good food. I mean, that's why I moved to San Francisco, because of it being such a culinary mecca. I wish I knew what the future of restaurants were. But yeah, more collaboration, I would say. multi-use of a space, I think.
Going back to your track record in opening up businesses, you
Mhm.
didn't stop in Mestiza too, right? There was another business you started.
Oh, are you talking about Lady Victory?
That's right.
Yeah, so Lady Victory was a mini project, and where we took a 1967 VW van and converted it into a bar, so we can take the party mobile and come to you. So yeah, Lady Victory, yeah, it's super fun. You can see Lady Victory often at Kapwa Gardens. A little plug for Kapwa.
Nice. Thank you. Papa Gardens is not far from where we're streaming. It's really, literally half a block away.
Yes.
How much garlic is that? We're checking.
Just three cloves.
Mhm.
You like garlic or no?
I put garlic in everything.
Yeah, same,
I feel like everything that has to have garlic is a base layer of flavor.
definitely. I love that. All right, so let's get this pocket. So, yeah, we can have our garlic perhaps. We're gonna go ahead and just start sauteing. Oil. There you go.
Any kind of special oil there?
I just took what was in that little skillet, so I don't know actually what kind of oil this is, but I would recommend either actually a coconut oil
Mhm.
or virgin olive oil. This is probably virgin olive oil. I can set any alarms.
We don't have the fire.
Okay.
Everything here is underground.
Okay. All right, so in goes the ginger. In goes some garlic. You can also add some onion if you like. I'll just quickly add a little bit.
And should it be a red onion? Should it be yellow onion, red
It
onion?
can be any onion. Again, it's like all of the same family. I like the bite that a red onion has, and the color of that onion. I won't use too much. That's eating it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, if someone wants to walk over here and join it.
Get that going. Okay.
Let's go, Pete.
It's like the Philippines. Okay. Okay, so instead of chicken, this is the moment where you would normally put in some chicken. Boneless chicken thighs can be bone in. Bone in is obviously going to give you more flavor. You're going to need to cook it a little bit longer. But instead of chicken, we're going to use these beautiful pink oyster mushrooms. And these are great. This is such a great meat substitute. And you can cut this and treat it a variety of ways. You can cut it like a scallop. You know, you can do that for these little chunks. You can slice it like a fillet, so you can make really nice steaky pieces. And my favorite maybe is you can shred it with a fork. So if you like pulled pork and pulled chicken dishes, things like that, you can do that as well. So you just you run your fork over it and see how cool that is. It's like just making these cool shreds that even looks like shredded chicken.
That's neat.
And it has a stringy texture, so you can just pull it apart too. Right? So yeah, try that next time you're trying to make a take on a pulled pork sandwich or even a chicken salad. And mushrooms, you know, of course, absorb a lot of flavor from whatever flavoring agent you decide to put in it. One thing that you also can do is score it so you make sure that it's really getting all that flavor in there. So just do a series. Can you see that on the top camera?
Yeah, what is that?
I'm scoring it. So I'm just like making X marks in there so that it gives a chance for any kind of flavoring agent, marinade or seasoning to really get in there.
You said this is the onion?
No, this is
Oh,
The-
that's
the
the
mushroom.
scallop mushroom.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do a cool buttery garlic scallop dish. And it looks and almost the texture as well, is kind of like a scallop. All right, so what are we gonna do? I think we're gonna maybe just have these larger chunky things. We're trying to evoke like the hardiness of chicken. So we'll just slice it up. Sorry, my finger is not exactly. These are so cool. You don't even have to really trim the stems like you do with a lot of mushrooms. These are not super woody tasting or even the texture. So you get a bigger chunk.
How many mushrooms you got in there so far? Like 3, 4?
That was three. Three. So we're just making it for us. So let's add this. This was like 3 mushrooms. Should we add the scallop mushrooms in there too, just for fun? And now we're going to add some of our fish sauce that we made. So that's going to be about a 1/4 cup.
Whoa, if that was like real fish sauce, that'd be like.
Too much,
right?
too much. We're going to water it down anyway, so with some veggie broth.
You got a what?
I have to sign on by 6:45.
Is it a Zoom?
It's hard to control the heat on this hot plate. So we'll let that simmer and brown up a little bit because the brown stuff is also going to be what's going to
Oh
give
my
you
God, it
flavor.
smells so good.
Yeah, it's already starting to smell really good. Okay, so yeah, we didn't really talk about the health benefits of mushrooms or garlic, but the same things. And this is what I found really interesting about almost all plants, that they are anti-inflammatory, they're antibacterial, they lower cholesterol, you know, they lower your blood sugar. Like they just have, vegetables are amazing. And when I experimented with like not a lot of carbs, low carbs, found that you know, the texture of vegetables can also be very filling, and so I didn't end up missing the carbs at all. So that was cool. I almost forgot this very key important ingredient, and this is green papaya. So this is more traditional in the Filipino Tinola. It's a young green papaya, and you boil it just like any other vegetable. So I already have one that's peeled. You know, it's very easy to peel and to seed. You know, the skin comes off very easily. So go ahead and peel it, and we'll chunk it up, and we'll add that into our mix.
Yeah, I never knew that green papaya was part of Tinola.
What?
My mom was holding back on me. Everyone was watching, who else had green papaya in their Tinola?
What
Am I just the only one who hasn't?
What did you have in your Tinola? What was it?
Chayote,
Yes.
chicken,
Yeah, we should also have chayote. So there's a lot of good substitutes in case you can't find green papaya. So anything in the gourd family is going to be a great substitute. You know, yellow squash, this, you know, bitter melon you're going to find a lot in Filipino cooking. I just love bitter melon because it has like the health benefits in this, the antioxidants, like incredible. And it also just looks cool. You seeing that? And when you open it, it has this wild looking seeds. Yeah, and I'm fascinated by like all the bright colors and textures, and these vegetables that we don't normally use in our cooking. Yeah, so you can use a variety of things. You can use
Where's
bitter
where's-
melon,
yeah,
you can
you
use
put
anything in the gourd family, any kind of squash, mushrooms. If you don't have these pink oysters, you can just use a common white mushrooms or button mushrooms. This is Filipino eggplant. Again, like look at that gorgeous purple color. That's also great to throw in this stew. And then we'll get to the greens in just a second. Okay, so we got to add some water or a veggie base, and I like this better than bouillon veggie base. It tends to be on the salty side, so you really just need like a teaspoon of this and about 3 cups of water. And where's my water? Okay, so let's add some water.
This is really hard broccoli though.
So this is a little bit, I'm going to say this is roughly about 6 cups.
Ano sabi mo?
You can also give him the one I made yesterday. So
Yeah, that's
Tinola is something that you can also freeze. So if you're buying, all these vegetables, just use it all up and then, you can freeze it.
I just noticed it was hard. That's why I didn't.
I'm just scraping off a lot.
How often do you make this dish back home? For your family?
I make it
I'm
a
so
couple
many.
times a month, but now that I just got reinterested in it again, I think I'll make it more often. I think it's just always good to have around.
So
All right, so this needs to
Couldn't figure out what kind of soup it
bring this to a boil and let it come to a simmer.
was.
And you're just going to simmer it until all the vegetables cook through, but we're not quite done yet. So we'll let this simmer a little bit. I wish I had a lid, it'd go faster. No lids, maybe this. It's okay. So in the meantime, I could show you, when you slice open a green papaya, it looks like this. Check out those seeds. That looks like it. I know, it looks kind of creepy and very alien-like. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
So yeah, so you'll just like another melon, you'll just scoop out the seeds like that, peel off the skin, and then chop it into chunks.
So what?
I'll sign in, don't worry. Let me in.
Okay,
Okay.
we have a pause here until this cooks, so. Oh yeah, so I downloaded some notes on also just the benefits of certain ingredients that we may sometimes take for granted. Garlic, for example, equally amazing properties as ginger, and is a super immune booster. So, if you're sick, this is like the perfect soup. Better, it makes your blood pressure better, lowers cholesterol, we talked about that. It reduces the risk of heart disease, better athletic performance, believe it or not, stronger bones, improved memory, and better skin. So don't be shy with garlic. Garlic is amazing. And green papaya also contains an ingredient called papain, and that's a very strong antibacterial. It also aids in your digestion. You see papaya enzymes sometimes in health food stores and whatnot. But it really speeds up your metabolism if you have any belly aches or a bacterial thing. Papaya is great. It's also really good for your skin. So if you have an overripe papaya, you can actually make a paste out of it that if you're not going to eat it and apply it to your skin because it has natural enzymes in it.
Is green papaya like green mangoes where it's not as sweet?
Yes. Yeah. It's more vegetal in flavor. It's not as sweet as a fruit flavor. Like you have green papaya salad in Thai cooking. You eat that, Desi? Papaya salad?
Yes.
All right, I gotta step out of the sun for a second because it's so hot.
Actually, the sun is going away now and
Yeah.
it's getting darker. Oh, look, you got the fans over there.
They're going to the game.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring a lamp over here. It's actually getting dark. You want to keep on?
Oh, keep talking. Okay, so another, yeah, so Desi had mentioned earlier about chayote or sayote. That's what this is, and it's another vegetable, in Filipino vegetable in the gourd family. So this is great in Tinola, and it's got a very firm flesh. So that's fantastic also to throw in your soup. What else?
Where do you like to go for Filipino food?
Chef Reina. Yeah, she's if people don't know, shout out to Chef Reina. She's the vegan Filipino cook, and she's been helping me like make this crossover, or at least start trying to eat more plant-based. So like that, and what else? I go to Seafood City a lot sometimes to pick up my ingredients, just for myself and my family. And I just like going to Grill City right there, and they had this little kiosk. To that actually.
We have a couple of questions. One
Mhm.
question is, do you remove the skin from the chayote?
Yes, I do.
And can you add chayote if there's no papaya?
Yes, yeah. It's literally anything that in the gourd family is going to be great. So if you don't have green papaya or chayote or sayote, zucchini works great in here. You can even put potatoes in the tinola. What you want is just sort of like that mouthfeel of something that's got a firm flesh. And again, it's really about that gingery, garlicky, savory broth.
And someone also asked, what about malunggay leaves?
It's coming. And I'm glad you asked, because that is another incredible superfood. So I was lucky enough to find some malunggay at the store, which I usually don't, but there happened to be a few bunches. So this is malunggay, and if you don't find it fresh, I've actually found it in the frozen section under horseradish leaves, although it's not horseradish, it comes from a tree. And I'm not sure why they call it horseradish leaves, but anyway, so malunggay is also called moringa commonly. And I know those of you you've probably seen moringa in a lot of places, like you go to a juice shop and you can get an extra shot of moringa powder or something like that in it, because also this is an incredibly nutritious leaf. It has tons of vitamins. It's even used for as an antidepressant, B6, B12, vitamin A. Like, it's crazy. This leaf is really healthy. So we're going to add some of moringa at the very end. I've already have some picked here, but it is not the easiest thing to find. So you can really add just any leafy green. Some people like to add bok choy. They feel like this has more of a subtle flavor, like the malunggay leaf. Other people like to go with, some spinach. You can do like just a conventional spinach. You can add kale. You can add any leafy green, to be honest. But yeah, I'm super stoked that I was able to find malunggay.
Have you ever used it to accelerate your milk production while you were pregnant?
Oh no, but I that too is like another great benefit, is that it's supposed to really help in lactation for new mothers. So yeah.
I actually didn't know that. Elisa put that on the chat.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Yeah.
How's broth coming along?
Well, this cooktop is not the best. So normally, when I'm sautéing my mushrooms, I like to get them nice and brown. But for just, time's sake, and I don't know if this cooktop is actually functioning properly. But, you know, this should have like a nice kind of brown color on it, but we can try it. It's getting there. Yeah, getting there. I would even add, you know, I just used water. Oh, I forgot to mention this too. A lot of people, instead of just plain, you can use plain water, but a lot of people like to use rice water. So rice water is just simply the water that is left over from your first rinse of rice. And it gives a little bit of an interesting mouthfeel, a little bit, you know, like, it's just like adding pasta water to some sauces. So there's a little starchiness in there that tends to thicken. I wouldn't say thicken so much, but just give it a little bit of a different weight in your mouth.
Is that a technique vegans use, or is that just?
No, that's just the Filipino technique, using the rice water in the soup. I think this needs something, so I'm gonna add a little bit of bouillon to it. It's super garlicky and super gingery though. Good. How you feeling? Are you feeling okay? What ails you right now, Desi? Anything?
Stress in the shoulders. So I hold no stress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So muscles. So ginger, again, is good for that. Being an anti-inflammatory, if you're tense, it just, you know, helps with all the inflammation. And, you know, as I started to learn more and more about nutrition, I think inflammation is really the common thread of all the ailments. So all of these ingredients actually are anti-inflammatory.
So Augustus is wondering, what brand of patis are you using? I know you're using a vegan one, but when you don't use a vegan one, what do you use?
You know, if you go to an Asian fish, or you go to the Asian store, and there's like 20 different fish sauces, and you know, if you haven't learned this about me already, I like to experiment with different things. So I'll try them all. This one is, you know, Red Boat is like good quality. But you know, again, it's just really based on your taste and what your taste buds tell you. A lot of that refers back to also what your mom used or your dad used or what you're familiar with, and what you define as tasty.
You know, I'd love to know what everyone who's watching, what's their favorite brand of fish sauce. Put it on the chat so we know. Mine is the squid brand.
That's a good one. Squid brand. Okay.
What was the toughest thing you had to do during the pandemic?
Oh, the toughest thing. There's so much of it that was tough. You gotta like reframe that question a little bit.
Okay. Business wise, what was the
Okay.
toughest thing you had to do during the pandemic?
The toughest thing, I think it was the employees. That was really stressful. You know, the responsibility that you have as a business owner and caring for your staff and knowing that, you know, this is their means to support their families. Like having to deal with that burden, I think that was. Thank God for PPP. Thank God for Biden Harris. Like that really helps. Yeah. Was that your question in business? Or something
Yes,
else?
that's your question.
Okay.
On a brighter note, what was the best thing business wise to come out of the pandemic?
I mean, actually, for me, a lot of good things came out of pandemic. I think that, you know, when I had to shut down 2 out of the 3 businesses that were operating pre-pandemic, I had time. I had time to slow down, and so, you know, I spent a good, you know, 2-3 months just being quiet in my mind, and that was helpful. It helped me a lot. And then also just having a new perspective on things that I wanted to improve when things started getting going again. So that was good. Time with the kids. I mean, that's an obvious
Yeah,
one.
family time.
Family time was awesome, getting out of town. But yeah, having a little bit more time
Mhm.
to myself, I think is good.
A lot of steam coming out of there.
I know, it's finally gotten hot. It took a while. All right. Yeah, it's smelling good. Yeah, so we're gonna cook it until the papaya is tender. We might not have time right now, but just know that it should be fork tender. You should be able just to easily slice your fork through it. And typically you eat this with a big bowl with a side of white rice. You can choose to do that or not. I think it's hearty enough, especially with all the green papaya and the mushrooms and stuff. So you don't really need it. What other questions you got? Gotta feel some air in here.
Well, what do you think is going to happen in San Francisco? Everyone talks about that there's an exodus from San Francisco, and some media outlets talk about that our government is driving our city to the ground. What are your predictions? What are your thoughts?
I think in pandemic, especially, yeah, I mean, San Francisco has a chance to reset itself and really be mindful about how they're going to rebuild the city. I mean, we don't have the tech workers anymore here to support all these small businesses. And I think it's widely known San Francisco is maybe one of the hardest cities to do business in. So, personally speaking, I'm heartened to see that there's a lot of small businesses finally organizing around that, because it really is the lifeblood of a city. I think small businesses. So I think they're finally, City Hall is finally hearing that. And do you disagree?
What, that City Hall is listening?
Listening to the importance of small business.
I think they're listening. I think the key is are they able to act? Right?
Yeah.
They can always hear us, but are they able to act and able to act quickly?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm hopeful. I can't lie and say that I haven't thought about moving to another city, probably about 3 or 4 times during pandemic, like quite seriously. But then I always come back to, I really, San Francisco has so much to offer, between its beauty, the architecture, the art, the culture. That's what I'm attached to in the city. So.
I mean, I felt the same way too during fire season. I mean, I spent so much time and effort, in trying to develop this community here. But then when the fire season hit and the skies turned orange, then I felt like it was
Apocalyptic.
it was like all for naught.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Yeah, we've been through a lot.
I know.
We've been through a lot.
It's preparation for what's to come, hopefully not.
Yeah, what do you think is to come?
Well, I mean, everyone's talking about climate crisis.
Climate crisis, yeah, and all the more reason to start considering going plant-based. I mean, not just personally for your health, which is like a fantastic single reason, but for the planet as well. So, there's all kinds of great side benefits of trying to go most. And I'm not strictly plant-based by any means. Like, I love my lechon, I love my lumpia, I love my adobo. But I think that trying to go mostly, or having a plant-forward diet is probably the way to go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add some of my leaves now. And so we have the moringa, and this is only about a cup or so, and you can be generous with this. By the time I would pick a little bit more, so you just go ahead and sprinkle that in.
Does that add any kind of flavor?
Yeah, it's a very subtle flavor, so it's kind of like a, it's still the greens, just a slight bitterness. And you do need to cook it. I'd say between the bok choy and the spinach, to me, it has more of a bok choy flavor. But, you know, definitely vegetal and adds that. We cook that, and then, you know, I'm gonna add some bok choy just because it looks pretty. Let's lay that right in. Oh, wait, that one has longer. It's not washed.
Do you have any favorite cooking shows?
So growing up, I love all the PBS cooking shows. The Food Network shows, I'm not always a big fan of, because it's all about contest and competition. And I just like the slow, let me just see what you're doing. Let me see your technique. And to me, it's super relaxing. So like the PBS cooking shows I like, you know, Great British Bake Off or whatever that show is.
Yeah.
That one's fun to watch. That one's pretty relaxing.
And I learned something about Deanna today that I never knew, is that Deanna, in a former life, used to produce cooking shows, right?
Yeah, yeah. And this is weird. This is a weird experience for me being on this side of the camera, because I think this is like the first time I've ever done this in front of the camera. But yeah, I used to be behind the scenes, and that was a great job because I got to prep, you know, do all the me's for the chefs. I got to research. My research would be reading cookbooks. You know, we get to travel to food festivals all over the world. It was a really fun job. I've always been a foodie, so every job I think that I've had relates somehow back to food. So there, that's looking nice.
Yeah.
That looks pretty, right? And then at the end, you know, you can another traditional thing is it's like a long pepper. This is not a long pepper. This is the only pepper that I had in at Little Skillet. So this is a jalapeno. But you know, we're gonna just experiment. You know, normally you would, you know, it's the long pepper is long and skinny, and you just drop a couple in there. But you know, we're gonna slice. I think I'm just gonna add a couple slices. I don't want too much heat on it, so we'll just add a couple slices in there just for a little kick.
So what do you see as, I always ask about the future. Future of this, future of that. What about the future of Filipino food in San Francisco?
I'm super excited about it. I just heard or got an email about Chef Francis's new spot. You know,
Abaca.
Abaca. I'm so excited. Do you want to go? Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, his cooking is insane, and I can't wait to support him. I know he's been looking for his own space. Rumor has it on the street that we have another pretty notable chef coming in from New York, who's going to be in this close by, actually. Man, so many people doing amazing things. Sarap Shop, you know, Lumpia Company. Shout out to Alex. Who else is doing stuff?
Uncle Tito's opening up on 9th and Mission.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
In the
yeah.
Mamu Daiji location.
Cool. Okay, this is green papaya. It's not quite there, but almost there. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about all the things that are happening. Melody of Sweet Condessa.
She's a master at sweet.
She's so good. And I thought I had won the jackpot because she's moving to the city, and just coincidentally we were chatting. This was just yesterday. And I'm like, oh, what neighborhood are you moving to? She's like, Sunset Parkside. I'm like, oh, really? I'm on 41st. She's like, I just looked at a place on 41st. And I'm like, what number? She's like, 27, whatever. And then I'm like, that is the house right across the street from me. And I took a picture. And I was so excited. I'm like, I'm gonna have the best neighbor who's gonna, you know, I'll trade chicken for her calamansi tarts.
Yeah.
But then she said that she didn't get the spot. So I know that would have been so dope.
Well, I'm glad she's considering moving to the city, because last time I talked to her, she was talking about like, setting up shop in the East Bay because that's where she's gonna live.
Right.
So, she lives in the city, that means we can get her to set up shop here.
I know. I keep encouraging her. I keep on telling her, I'll help you find you a spot. She's almost there. Give her another year. I think she'll move. Yeah, who else is doing cool stuff?
Ronnie and Jason are opening up a gigantic commissary.
That's what I heard, yeah.
East Bay, yeah.
Mhm. Well, East Bay, you got Seventh West over there too, and Kevin and his doing some stuff.
Bob Kitchen made it past the pandemic.
Yeah, okay,
I think
they've
they're
survived.
starting again, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, we have a pretty awesome community of folks. Right?
Yep.
Right.
So, one of the things with this cooking show is that it's also a showcase of all of the chefs and entrepreneurs who are involved in Filipinos Food the Front Lines. Do you want to tell our viewers what your experience was and what that program was about?
Oh, yeah, I mean, amazing thing, and kudos to Desi for even being the brainchild. So Filipinos Feed the Front Lines, there's obviously like this huge need for small businesses during pandemic. They have no source of income, connecting with the people who need food, and that was, brilliant. And, where a lot of our frontliners being Filipino, a lot of nurses, a lot of medical practitioners. So that was great, and we would, the program supported us during the pandemic, even those, getting the orders once a week to feed, how many people do we feed at a time? Like 100?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
100 people at a time.
Yeah, total it's been about 15,000 meals.
Yeah, 15,000 meals, that's incredible. So having coordinated that and, set up the outreach to coordinating the business owners and the restaurateurs to actually make the food, getting it delivered. I mean, it was a community effort for sure, but it was great. It really helped us.
Yeah, and shout outs to our community partners for making it happen. United Players, West Bay, SOMCAN, Forest, FCC over in the Excelsior, that all of the community coming together, that whole program would have happened. Speaking of which, SOMCAN is actually one of the biggest collaborators in making these cooking shows happen, and how we make this available is through some grants. And so one of the things we need from the grants is for everyone to fill out this survey. So I'm going to drop it into the chat. If everyone can fill out this survey, that would be amazing. Getting the data from the survey makes it possible for us to host these cooking shows for you. What you got there, Deanna?
Oh, I'm just making some garnish for the finished product. I'm just slicing some green onion. Yeah, and some lemon.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're almost done, and I'm gonna plate it up here shortly.
So if you were to ever leave San Francisco, what would be your top 2 cities to move to?
But that's a hard one because like I don't know, I can't think of another metropolis that I want to go to really, except for maybe New York. And maybe LA, but then I think about LA and I don't really want to be there.
How about Portland? Portland's kind of
Portland's cool, but I like the ocean, so I need to be close to the ocean.
That's right, you're a surfer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I need to have water. That's like my touchstone. And so then I've just been thinking, let's maybe just move to Portugal. So like moving overseas, once my kids hit high school or maybe after high school, that's
And when you were growing up, you were an army brat, right?
as an army brat.
Was
Yeah.
Portugal, one of the stops that you-
No, I've never been to Portugal, but it just sounds like it's the place to be right now. Similar to San Francisco, close to the ocean, beautiful, rich culture, the food is amazing, warm communities, I think about moving to Hawaii in a heartbeat. That's another possibility, moving to Hawaii.
If anyone else thought about moving out of San Francisco, put in the chat, what would be your top destination? Jasmine says Hawaii too.
Yeah.
That's popular.
Yep.
All right, Deanna, we're getting hungry.
Oh, okay. Are we ready to play? Okay, we're ready to play.
So what other kind of Filipino classic soups do you like to gravitate towards?
I like the mongo and ginataan, the coconut stews,
Mhm.
delicious. Um, you know, it's funny because I didn't really necessarily grow up eating a lot of Filipino food,
Mhm.
and I've only ever been to the Philippines twice in my life. So even when I opened Mestiza, for me, it was really just exploring. And I'm just still even getting to know and become more intimate with like all the dishes. And I just the healthier side of Filipino cooking. There's so many great recipes and ingredients, all these crazy looking vegetables and,
Yeah.
you know, so it's been fun, satisfying my curiosity for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna check these up a little bit.
Garnish.
Okay, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little green onion. Will you taste it for me?
Sure.
Okay.
And switch camera view. This is the best part, is that I get to taste the food.
Oh, you can put a squeeze of lemon in it too.
Okay, oh, lemon too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try it without lemon first.
okay.
Oh, yeah. It does taste like tinola. You don't need to have chicken.
You don't need to have chicken, it's true.
That's awesome.
I think it's really all about the ginger,
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And there is that kind of like, that smoky brown flavor. I don't know where that's coming from. It's from, oh, it's probably the mushroom.
It could be the seaweed, and actually it's good that you picked up on that because, you know, you could do, they have like a smoked shoyu that you could use, for the vegan fish sauce
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
They have, anything that has a smoky flavor, the smoky seaweed
Mhm.
for kake, like, just adding something with a little bit of smoke in it is always gonna give you a little more depth of flavor.
Cool.
Yeah.
I wish everybody was here to enjoy this, but you're not. So I want to continue eating. So we want to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you, Deanna, for gracing the Balay Creative Streaming Hub. And we have another chef demo coming up with Syrup Shop in about a month. So tune in for that. So thank you, everybody. And we will
Thanks, guys.
email out the recipe and please fill out the survey. And thank you to SOMCAN for helping make this happen.